Hello everyone, this is the first of a number of video clips that I'm going to put together to go along with your training. I'd done this previously with the old style test and it was quite effective, but the videos I'd done for the old style test, because it's changed now, are a bit obsolete, so we need to kind of update things and refresh and put things more into context for the standards check. That's the new system that's in place now, basically, which you're all aware of. So yeah, there's the first video clip, and what we're going to do today is look at how to set up the lesson. Okay, so if you have a look on your standards check marking sheet, the first competency on that is, did the trainer ensure that the pupil understood, change that. Yeah. Did the trainer identify the pupil's learning goals and needs? Okay, so that's the first bit on the sheet. Did the trainer identify the pupil's learning goals and needs? So the only way to identify the learner's goals and needs is to reflect on the last lesson. So when you ask some questions about the last lesson, you start to build a picture of what needs to be addressed. And that's then creating a goal for that particular lesson. So we're going to give you a wee example of that, and what you're looking at is maybe 5 or 6 possibly key questions that you'll ask routinely. So regardless of the person, regardless of the topic, you're going to ask the same questions at the beginning, and what happens is you get just used to you asking the same ones, so you set them up. So it's a little bit like a script. Yeah, so it doesn't really change very much. Although situations can change, the same questions will come up over and over and over again when you set up that lesson plan. So, first question, what was the last lesson on? So when someone sits in the car, you'll go through the normal formalities. How are you? How are things today? Whatever. And then you'll ask them, so, what was our last lesson on? And you'll get an answer. And it could be anything. It could be crossroads. We introduced crossroads, or we were turning right, or we were doing roundabouts, or maybe we were covering a manoeuvre, or dealing with traffic lights, or it could have been just again a bit of general driving, whatever it might be. So first question will always be, so what was our last lesson? And then you'll follow that on with, so how did that go? How was that lesson? And again you'll get an answer to that, and that answer will vary. It could be, normally they'll just say it's alright, yeah. They're not too enthusiastic about it. It'll just be, it was alright, okay. So whatever they say, you'll follow that on with, okay, so what was alright about it, or what was rubbish about it, or what was good about it? Whatever answer they give you, the answer could be, like, say, okay, great, fantastic, rubbish, oh, just awful, last lesson was just terrible, it was disastrous. Okay, what was disastrous about it? Yeah, so it's the same thing you're going to do. What was the last lesson on, and how did that go? And what was whatever about it? Yeah, and you're going to get information from them. And what you're looking for is areas that you can improve. So whatever answer they give you, you're going to follow that on with, okay, so what areas could we actually improve on with that? And again you'll get an answer there, and usually it could be, I don't know, I'm not sure. And you might then have to add in some kind of suggestion, for instance, because you'll have in your mind the problem areas that happened in the last lesson, because you'll have the reflection, you'll have it in your mind, you'll have a notes whatever the last lesson was on, so you'll know yourself where the areas are, but what you're trying to do is draw it out from them so they realise and they understand it. Okay, so the same key questions. Yeah, what was the last lesson on? How did that go? What was whatever about it? What areas could we have improved on? And then you might say, so how are we going to go about doing that? And again the answer will probably be, I don't know. And again you might offer some suggestions depending on the topic. So this is where you'll fill in the blanks a little bit. So it could have been a manoeuvre, or maybe they've stalled 3 or 4 times through the last lesson. So you could be looking at clutch control, and they could say, well, yeah, the last lesson was terrible, I was stalling at all the junctions. Okay, so how can we develop clutch control then? Oh, I don't know, I'm not sure. Well, how about doing a manoeuvre? Good, kind of have a look at manoeuvre. That's developing clutch control. But we're doing it out with the traffic. So we can concentrate solely on just using the pedals. Or, just a bit of coordination with your hands, your feet and your eyes. But taking the pressure away of being at a junction and maybe looking at a gap. But that's where, again, it could be the actual gap that's the issue there, when they're trying to get away too quickly, and that's what's causing them to stall. So, you're going to work out what actually is the problem, and where does the root of the problem lie. But the point being, you're asking the same questions to identify where their needs are, and you're looking to see what areas actually need a bit of attention. And that comes from reflecting on the last lesson. So you've got 4 or 5 key questions that you'll always ask, and that's going to be the same regardless of the lesson. And from there you follow that on, and the conversation just starts to flow a little bit. Yeah, and that's really what you're wanting. You're wanting that conversation to flow. You're wanting to get them to speak to you and get them to tell you about it. But you'll always have in your mind what the plan is going to be, because you'll know, again, possible practice areas. But you're just trying to kind of lead them into that little bit. Sow the seed, yeah, and that's where you're asking leading questions. That's going to bring information out. But, the other side of it is if you just say, well, what do you want to do today? It's not deep enough. Yeah, what do you want to do today? Well, I don't know. What do you want to do today? Well, it's your lesson, you can decide. Well, I don't know. And it goes on and on and on. So, be a little bit more to the point, So, what was the last lesson on? Okay, that gives you a starting point. How did that go? What was good about it? What wasn't so good about it? Yeah. What areas could have been improved? And then, okay, how might we go about doing that? What skills are there? What skills do we know already that will actually help us achieve to get better at the problem area? And that's it. Okay, so how about the practice areas then? Where would be a good place to go for that? Another question. So if they know the area, maybe they don't, maybe they do. Depends on the person. Yeah. And you'll follow that on with, so how are we going to share the responsibility for today's lesson? And that's where that bit comes in. So once you've had the conversation of setting up the goal, you're then going to think about, okay, so how are we going to share the responsibility for today's lesson? Who's going to take control for what? Could you take control for the drive from here to the train area? Whatever it is we're working. And then I'll come in with a bit of help and support when we get there. There's one option. Yeah, it could be that they want to take control of the whole lot, because the last lesson was maybe actually pretty good, and they just want to recap it just to kind of set it in stone, because you were giving a bit of help and support last time, but now they want to do it on their own. Okay, excellent. So you're happy to take full responsibility for that today. Yeah, I'm going to do a whole lot myself. Okay, great. Yeah, so you're again having that conversation and deciding on how you're going to share it, and that's the key word: sharing the responsibility, not just passing it over to them, not just you taking control. The idea is you're going to share it together, yeah, and you come to an arrangement, yeah, on how it's going to be shared. But you will always have the final say, if you like. Yeah, you're the one that's got the controls at your feet. Yeah, you are the trainer. So you are the one that is responsible, yeah, not the learner. Yeah, a learner driver is not responsible for the vehicle. Although you want to pass that responsibility, if anything happens, the buck lies with you. So you have to have that full responsibility, although you're trying to pass it over for them to take it. Yeah, but you will always have the back. You will always be the safety net underneath them to catch them if they happen to fall. That's something to bear in mind. If it's a full license holder you're dealing with, that's slightly different. So a full license holder will be responsible for the vehicle because they have a license. Yeah, so the driver is responsible. Yeah, but only if they're a full license holder. Yeah, not a learner. So again, a slight difference there. So that's something to bear in mind. Okay, so you're looking at that shared responsibility, and that's a key word. How are we going to share that responsibility? What would you want to take control of? What will I take control of? Will I help you out with the mirrors, for instance? Or will I help you out with the control of the car? Or, will I help you out with your observations? What do you want from me? What areas do you want help on? And I'll come in and give you a bit of help and support from that. And again, you're just having a conversation. And that's the key things of setting up the lesson plan. So it's not all just one-sided. You're trying to get more information from them, and by having conversations, and that's where it kind of flows, and you both come up with an idea of what the plan is going to be for that particular lesson. Okay, so I hope that's given you a bit of information. Don't want the videos to be too long, 10 minutes maximum. Yeah, more than enough to be sat down listening to me. So I'll be putting more up in due course, basically, but that was a wee basic bit of how to actually set up the lesson. So I hope it helps. Okay, doc.